Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Mr. Williams will be right back. Would you please call the roll?
RG. Baronis. Present. Bolin.
Present.
Gathing.
Present.
Johnston.
Present.
Verrett. Present. Williams.
He's here. He'll be right back. Okay, we have a quorum. Let's rise and engage in the Pledge of Allegiance. Right above us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we move on down to the agenda. Good news.
We want to start with early childhood, followed by Edison, Steuben, Taft, Kennedy, and LCC, ending with the junior high.
Good evening, President Bolin, Vice President Gathing, Secretary Baronis, and all of the other board members. For early childhood, we had the following. We had donations from St. John United Church of Christ. They did give a monetary donation for several of our students to help with gingerbread houses. That donation will be used for our students at Mark Twain. As you know, this is the season where we start to do all types of fun things for the holidays, so we'll use that donations for gingerbread houses. And then from Midland Bank, from Mrs. Andrade, we did get different hats and mittens, so we're very grateful for those donations. And then one of the things that we did that was a little bit different, we wanted to actually engage our students and our families in seeing how we could actually help with seeing how we could be a blessing to, well, help others who may be in need as well. And so what we did, we actually partnered with the group Enactus. It's a global organization where students actually reach out to use their skills to find out what is needed in the community. And so our early childhood students actually contributed 445 cents with this organization, and it went to Sleep in Heavenly Peace to make beds for students in the local community. That was really special to us because there was actually at least one student in early childhood who actually benefited that we know of right off, and so that was something that we were very fortunate to know that we could actually donate and it could be a benefit right at home. So we were really happy about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Edison would like to thank the Kiwanis Cub for donating winter coats.
Steuben also received winter coats, hats, and gloves from the Kiwanis Club.
LCC would like to thank Emily Bull for supplying craft materials for our after-school program, Kelly Johnson for donating winter clothing, Gina Entwistle for donating winter clothing, Kiwanis Club for their donation of winter coats, and then Republic Services for adopting 2 district families for the holidays.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
TAF would like to thank the Kiwanis Club for donating winter coats, Dwayne Dean for the winter toy giveaway, the Marines for Toys for Tots, and Ms. Gail for a Christmas toy giveaway.
Good evening. The Kankakee Junior High School would like to thank Mr. Bowling for his donation of books to our Student Success Center. So, Mr. Bowling, thank you for that. The Student Success Center, you've all been in there, but it is one of the favorite locations at the Kankakee Junior High School. All the students love to go in there. They do their puzzles, their Lego making, certainly they love the books. So we really do appreciate that. So thank you again.
Thank you. Moving on down, Superintendent's report. anything from instruction.
Yes, we would like to invite 10-Story Learning to come forward. I will introduce you to Megan Roach. She has been a part of the district directly and indirectly for almost 10 years now, and she's also a native of Kankakee.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Walters. As Dr. Walters said, my name is Megan Roach. I grew up in Kankakee, went to kindergarten here at Steuben, went to LCC, went to Pregler, went to Kennedy, went to the junior high. That's right. I have a long history of all the schools and wonderful teachers and relationships from Kankakee, so I always love being here. And so today I am here to introduce to you 10-Story Learning, which is a new math company that has only been in existence for about a year. And how it came, my role is I'm the VP of whatever we call it, like school and district partnerships. But titles are just titles. But what drew me into this company was, it's only been around about a year, and it's based on getting kids really engaged in math and really getting kids away from the screen and doing hands-on and engaging with one another and developing a rapport. And so let me show you a little bit more about that. So the goal of the company is to just engage math learners, because we know that once a goal has been created that students actually care about, and then we can help to show them how math can help them solve that problem. So what 10-Story does is it gives students the opportunity to use their bodies, work with real objects, make things, be creative, work together, feel connected, share stories, and become leaders. Now, why was this so important to 10-Story, the company? To express themselves and, of course, belong to a community. They're working in groups, what they do projects through 10-Story. So Dr. Peter Meyerhoff is the CEO of the company, and he's a professor out of Northwestern University, and he got his doctorate in learning sciences. So he literally studied how do students learn best. And then he took those principles and theories and research and created this framework around 10-Story and how kids learn best. And this is like cutting edge, right? He just got his degree in 2020. And then he's partnered with Howie Templer, who is a teacher out of Highland Park, Illinois. And what was happening with Howie was in his 5th grade classroom, and he was in a school very similar to a Kankakee school as far as demographics and things go. What was happening in Howie's classroom was his math scores were through the roof compared to the other 5th grade classrooms. So naturally, the administrators went in there and said, "What are you doing in your classroom? Why are your scores so much higher?" And it was this type of math, because he said, "I always hated math. I was never good at it. So I decided to teach the kids math the way that I understand it best." And then finally you have, and he also happens to be a presidential award winner for excellence, and he left the classroom to create this product along with Peter and Jenny so that he could get it out to more people rather than just doing individual buildings at a time as far as professional development. And we all know how hard it is to teach in a classroom full time and also try to create a curriculum, like impossible, okay? And then finally rounding it out is Jenny Meyerhoff, who's a young adult author as well, a children's author, as well as a professional expert in PBL. So through Dr. Meyerhoff's research, this is what he found. Students learn best when these things are happening in the classroom, when we provide these opportunities for them. They're working as a team. They're working on projects. They're using their bodies. They're handling real objects. They're learning through story, able to solve problems, construct things, express their creativity, become leaders, and belong to a community. So that's where the name 10-Story comes from. And the most important outcome is that students have joy. This is a literal photo of students
working through a project, playing a game through 10 Story. This is a supplemental math program, okay? This is not your core, this is a supplemental. And we know when kids are having joy in classroom, we know we have to develop that rapport with them first, or learning is not going to take place. So 10 Story provides three different projects, we call them: Space Academy, Mega Mini Games, and Prism. And we cover lots of the different math standards, basically from about grade 3 to grade 8. So an example of this is the kids are in a space academy, they're at a camp, and their robot has gone missing, and they all have to get to this planet at the same time using their vehicle to rescue this robot. So first, what are we going to do? We're going to provide the students an opportunity to develop rapport amongst one another. As we have been learning post-COVID, it can be very difficult for kids sometimes to look each other in the eye, have a conversation without having a really high frustration level. It's really hard for some kids, we're seeing. So we're giving them this opportunity to become a team, create the name of their team, make a graphic to go along with it, and then the math part is they're going to develop that into a scale drawing. And kind of fast forwarding through the product, there's their project, there's their car, and this is where they have to analyze how fast does their car go, so that, and each group's car goes a different speed. They have to analyze how fast their car goes so that they can all land at that planet at the same time. And I was down here watching a training recently, or I was with the company, and what I can say from my perspective is it is heavy, heavy math thinking. And I mean that in a good way, where the kids really have to pause and reflect. They really have to turn and talk to one another. They really have to dig deep to solve these problems. And that's a good thing. Let them get frustrated. Let them solve these problems together. And give them opportunities to be leaders. Here's an example of them playing games, which is another project. It sounds light and fluffy, like it's a game, but trust me, it's not. It's fun, and it's really deep levels of thinking. Here's an example of when they're done playing the games, they have an opportunity. One of the projects is they have to create their own math game. And so here's an example of a math game that these students created. And we know from Bloom's taxonomy, back from the education days, that we reach that highest level of learning, deepest level of learning, when we're evaluating and creating. And 10 Story gives the students the opportunity, not only the opportunity, it's asked of them. This is part of what they're being asked to do. So let's get into a little bit of data from all of this. So in 2023, there was a study that was done, and there were 2 fifth grade classrooms. One was randomly assigned to do their core math program, which was Envision Math. Okay, I think that's through Pearson or something. So anyway, then the other classroom did Envision, reduced time, with 10 Story alongside with it. The fascinating part of this is they were also, the data was also done on social emotional learning, which for me is like the best part. So they were asked to predict an ordered pair using a graph and a table. And you can see the pre and the post. On the left-hand side, the red and the orange, that's the Envision group. Purple and the blue is the group that had the supplement of also using 10 Story math. The other one, I talked about the social emotional learning outcomes. These are the questions the kids were asked. I'm good at working with other people. Sometimes I feel like a leader. I can usually figure out how to solve problems. And so here's how they responded. These were the outcomes of sometimes I feel like a leader, when they're only in that control group of the Envision, and then you can see the difference with using 10 Stories as that supplement. And so this is about 10 hours. This is the best thing about a supplemental product, as you all know, is it can really fit wherever you need it most, wherever you think it can best fit. So I think we're starting, the goal is to work with through the math magnet program, and perhaps in some after-school programs as well. Yes. So, just trying not to rush, but maybe I took too long. I don't know, but thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? I don't know. Do I ask for questions?
You can introduce them.
And Dr. Peter Meyerhoff is here with us today, the professor from Northwestern that started 10 Story. Because he is really my boss, so he's making
Good idea.
Okay, that's it?
I said, do you have any questions?
I have lots of questions, but we'll talk later. I mean, I think these are fascinating concepts in terms of project learning, I think is critical. And I appreciate the appears that that's a great deal of the substance of what you're working with. And I look forward to learning more about what we're doing.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you very much for your
Okay.
presentation.
Thank you, everyone.
Any other things or any other discussion of instruction? None? Okay. How about finance? Mr. Lewis, your turn.
Oh, it won't. Good evening, board members, Dr. Walters. I'm going to be very brief with you this evening and discuss just a few things. For starters, I think it's healthy for the community to know that we're not ballooning our property tax levy for next year. We're taking the very minimum, which is 5% above the previous year's total extension. And I want to give you also a status of the audit. We received an email last week from the auditors. They said they got off to a very slow start with the audit, which is why it's taking so long. I've actually requested and been granted 2 extensions, and the auditors are now going to request an extension as well. So it's just moving very slow, and I wanted the board to have an update on that. Last thing I wanted to bring to your attention is we've been successful in making some investments. We'll discuss those in a lot more detail at the Finance and Facilities Subcommittee meeting later in the month. Interest rates are about to go down, so we could not have invested at a better time. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Lewis? Hearing none, thank you. Ms. Fountain, Personnel, HR.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Walters. As we stated before, I'm actually going to ask representatives from the grade bands to come up, Ms. Leffridge for K through 3, Ms. West for 4 through 6, and Ms. Glenn for 7 through 12. At the last board meeting, I did say we would give you updates on numbers of instructors and vacancies in the buildings. So not much has changed from last board meeting. I will ask the administrators to update me as they are hiring for positions. And so I'm just going to have each of the grade bands, again, the numbers have not changed from last month, but I am asking each of the grade band principals to talk about their process of hiring when they hire for their building and when they send those recommendations for HR to process. So we'll start with Ms. Leffridge.
For K-3 particularly, we try and do a group group interview, just because the candidates might have a particular grade or building in mind, and it just eliminates them having to do multiple interviews. So we do a group interview with all of the grade band, with all of the building principals, and some of the candidates are certified and then some of them are not, and then based on our feedback from the interview, or how we score them decides on what building we would land them at. Sometimes they don't work out well with another building, so we might pass them off to another building. But that's for K-3.
Thank you.
4-6 is very similar, and it kind of just depends on the time of year, whether or not we can all get together and sit down, but there's always a group of teachers that interview everyone as well, so it's not just one person's opinion, it's a group. Some of them are certified, some of them are not, but we kind of go through everyone in the database that we have to see who we can hire and who we can interview.
So much taller than them. So for 7-12, very similar. Once the school year starts, we might not have as large of a panel of the teachers, but myself and Dr. Brass and our admin, we can see certainly the 7-12 candidates that are out there. So if we had one that we interviewed that interviewed very well but wasn't fitting for our building, we reach out to each other on that. And we see all the time our 2 buildings, and then we make the recommendation over to HR, and then they confirm the hiring.
Thank you.
All right, any questions for the principals?
Any questions from the board? Thank you.
Along with that, we have been invited to go to 3 job fairs. We have signed up for 3 job fairs thus far. The issue with job fairs now, they're kind of non-existent because the last time we went, which was last year, and actually Ms. Leffridge went on a couple of job fairs, and did Ms. Arsenault? No, it was Ms. Leffridge went on a few job fairs last year, and in the past, there have been several candidates to interview or to get resumes for, but lately we've been noticing that there are 100 employers out there and there may be 20 applicants per each 100 for the schools. And so there really is a shortage of teachers going into education. Programs have gotten very small. I spoke to one professor of a program. He said they went from having 400 students in their education program to having 25. And then that's 25 with all of the districts in Illinois. I believe there's over 800 districts, if I'm correct, Dr. Walters. About 800 districts, pulling from those pools of candidates. So we just want to give you an update and hear from the principal perspective how they conduct interviews, because again, we don't hire the staff, we just process the recommendations from the buildings. Also, I would like, in your board packet tonight, we have 2 administrators that are, if your approval tonight, will start with our school district, and we have Dr. Todd Hall. Dr. Hall, can you stand? So Dr. Hall is coming from Chicago Public Schools. He has a bachelor's degree in aviation from Southern Illinois University, a master's degree in school counseling from Lewis University, and a doctorate degree in educational leadership from University of St. Francis. Dr. Hall has 25 years of education experience. So, Dr. Hall. Can you give him a hand? Also for your consideration is Dr. Donora Winters, if you please stand. Dr. Winters is coming from Dalton School District 149. Dr. Walters has a bachelor's degree, Winters, I said Walters, I'm sorry. The W's, I'm sorry. Dr. Winters has a bachelor's degree in elementary education from Chicago State University, a master's of education in educational leadership from National Louis University, and a doctorate degree in administration and administrative leadership with a superintendent's endorsement from the University of St. Francis. Dr. Winters has 27 years of experience in education. So, Dr. Winters. Thank you, and that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Fountain? Hearing none, thank you. And shortly, we'll be welcoming both of you officially, so bear with us, okay? Okay, moving on to public comment. Oh, excuse me, principal's report, but tonight
Yeah, our principal is absent today, and so we do have a video that we would like to show. Keith is going to cue it up for us.
Thank you.
Just to give a little information about Steuben. So Steuben Elementary houses a variety of programs in the Kankakee School District 111. The programs are as follows. At Steuben, there's a one-way dual language magnet program. This program is offered to students whose primary language is Spanish. The K-3 Math Magnet Program. This program is offered to any student in grades K through 3. Bilingual Early Childhood Program. This program is offered to preschool students who are native Spanish speakers as well as non-native speakers. And then also housed at Steuben is our child care program, and this program is offered to district employees. The children must be at least 1 year of age to start. In the interim, we have had our directors and also Ms. Harris cover Steuben, so I'm going to ask the directors to stand. And so we have had so we want to appreciate Ms. Powell, Ms. Garrett, and now I can't see because they sat down. Ms. Way, Ms. Clody, Ms. Starkey, and also Ms. Petty. They have been covering, along with Ms. Harris, and the interim at Steuben. So thank you. We appreciate your time and your support.
I just want to, I'd like to add something too. All of the teachers at Steuben are wonderful, but I want to say a special thanks to Mr. Mathis and then Diana Lopez. Because I think they have been doing a lot of the administrative support in terms of the students needing support outside of the classroom.
Okay. Dr. Brass, I noticed on the agenda that your name was on to do the principal's report. You're off the hook. You're okay. You don't need to do that. Okay, moving on to public comment. We have 2 persons who have signed up. And we'd ask you to give your name and direct your comments to the board. The board will recognize members of the audience who wish to make comments to the board regarding any topics related to school district business. The board will take all comments under advisement without discussion, which means the board will not respond tonight. If a member of the public raises an issue or concern that requires follow-up, the board president or superintendent will do that follow-up in a timely manner. Please give your names, direct your comments to us. Comments are limited to 5 minutes. And seeing the 2 people, I don't need to add this, but all individuals are to conduct themselves with respect and civility towards others. The first is Mr. Eric Penrod.
Members of the school board, my name is Eric Penrod. I'm a retired District 111 as a band director, having taught from 1984 to 2018. I'm here tonight to share my feelings on the naming of the new athletic facility at the high school. It is something I have given a lot of thought and have also listened to and read the opinions of many in our community. I would encourage you to consider the longevity and investment in District 111 by the recipient when making your decision. With all of that in mind, I feel that the most appropriate dedication and name for the new field house would be to honor the legacy of Mr. Greg Merrill. I chose the word legacy because of the length and his tenure in District 111, the many positions he filled during his career and in retirement, and the countless lives that he influenced to achieve greater things than they thought were possible. I had the pleasure of working with him as a fellow educator when he came to the district as a phys ed teacher at Kennedy Upper Grade in the late 1980s. His standards and expectations were high, and the kids loved him. Those 2 things were a constant throughout his career. Later in his career, I worked with him in his position of administrator at several levels. As a band director, our paths crossed at the junior high, the high school, and Mark Twain Elementary, where his staff would bring their students across the street to our junior high band performances. He was always supportive of his staff, his students, and the fine arts. I don't think most people realize that he is an alumni of District 111 and was a percussionist in the band program at Kennedy and beyond. Those who knew Greg will remember that he did not mince words. You always knew his position in any situation. I, for one, appreciated that ability to be straightforward. Most of the time I saw things as he did, and when I didn't, I was probably on the wrong side of reason. The name on a facility should reflect an investment on the part of the honoree, Greg's impact and memory will last for generations in our community. He is truly deserving of this honor. I ask that you give serious consideration to what I've presented. I would love to answer any questions or be a part of a discussion in reaching this decision. Also, thank you for your time and investment in our community by serving on the school board. It makes a big difference in the lives of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Penrod. The second person is James R. Wasser.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Superintendent, President, I have a short 2 or 3 things. First of all, I had the honor, I had to go over and get a nomination form last Friday, and I met Ms. Thornton. I'll tell you what, she's an uncut diamond, and I will tell you she's one of the best ambassadors I have ever seen, and even on my 12 years on the school board. And I want to thank you for that. Number 2, being a multi-tour Vietnam combat veteran, your JROTC program is out of sight. Because right now, a lot of people don't realize in this country, less than 1% of the men and women in this country will ever wear a uniform of one of our 6 military services. And I say the 6 because a lot of people don't know now we have a Space Force, okay? Now, tonight, later on, I'm sure when you decide to pick the name, they'll have committees and that'll all be made public and everything, I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll talk about the committee later on this afternoon.
Certainly. Thank you. Well, I met Greg Merrill back in 1970 when I was working with my parents when I come out of the service on the Spurs field, how it first got started. And I've known him for many, many years. And when I was on the board, Mark Twain was one of my adopted schools. So I'd like to just read a little thing because normally I haven't memorized, but this one I want to make sure I get it all, okay? Good. Greg Merrill was an outstanding educator, role model, mentor, motivator, leader, principal, and administrator. Greg Merrill was a man of the highest values who always had School District 111's best interest and well-being first and foremost. Greg was loyal, honest, compassionate, dedicated, caring, and a man of outstanding moral compass, especially when it came to the mission statement of Kankakee School District 111. Greg could not only talk the talk, but perform and walk the walk. Greg never compromised his principles and values, always maintaining the highest integrity in all his decisions. I can think of no one more deserving of having the Kankakee School District 111 Community Center named after him and Mr. Greg Merrill. Now, in closing, all I'm going to mention as an ex-school board member is, you always hear a lot of rumors. I don't care about them. But all I would recommend, and to reiterate to the school board members, and you probably get mad at me, always remember that you are the employer. Everyone answers to you. You do not answer to people that are employees. So please never forget that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wasser. Okay, moving ahead to the consent agenda. Are there any items any board member asks or is requesting to be removed from the consent agenda? Any items? Hearing none, we'll proceed on to need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Gathing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Johnston. Any discussion on any item on the consent agenda? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Archie?
Yes.
Baronis?
Yes.
Gathing?
Yes.
Johnston?
Yes.
Verrett?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Bolin?
Yes. Motion carries, 7 ayes, 0 noes. Before I go into the action items, Mr. Wasser, you said something that I think you would get unanimous agreement, which is not always the way it works, as you know, from the board, and that's your comments about the assistance of Ms. Thornton. She does wonderful work with us, for us, and for the district, and I appreciate your acknowledging that too, having had that experience. I almost forgot to make that point, and I
don't mind.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to the action items. The approval of the 2023 tax levy is before us. Mr. Lewis has addressed that. We are in the 5% limit, so we do not have to have a truth in taxation hearing. I need a motion to approve the 2023 tax levy.
So moved.
Motion by Gathing,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Johnston. Please, any discussion, questions, or comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Baronis,
Yes.
Gathing,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Verret,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Archie,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. The next is a approval of a contract with the 10-story learning for King and Kennedy that we just heard much information about from Ms. Roach. I need a motion to approve that contract.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gathing. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Johnson. We're on a roll tonight. Any discussion, questions, or comments regarding?
Yeah, when is this planning on going into effect?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
When is this planning on going into effect?
Okay.
So Crystal Clifton is the person that is going to help to facilitate the implementation. And so I think that they've already met to create an implementation plan. One of the things that we also thought about implementing it in the after-school program at Kennedy and King as well. And so I haven't seen the implementation plan yet, but I'm sure I'll probably see it in the next week or so.
So it's something that will start this.
Oh, it will definitely start this school year. I would guess January. Oh, they were already trained. Yay.
That's good.
This is part of the school improvement plan, correct?
Well, yes.
It's related to that?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I almost hesitate to say this, but I've been working with Ms. Roach on defined learning for many years, so she really does understand the importance of project-based learning and how it helps to increase the students' engagement as well as their retention of the knowledge.
So I'm sorry if I misunderstood. So is this going to be offered to all the students, or is this like an after-school thing that people have to?
At this point, it will not be offered to all of the students.
Okay.
But then after we get some feedback from the teachers, and that wouldn't be in my time, but after the teachers give feedback, then I'm sure the new superintendent may get some different recommendations. But at this point, we kind of consider it a pilot.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, could please call the roll.
Gathing,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Verret,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Archie, Baronis,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes. 7 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. The next item is requesting the authority to enter into an agreement with Omni to offer a 457B plan in addition to our current 403B plan as a benefit to our employees. This is at no cost to the district, it's just another option. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gathing, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Johnston. Are there any questions about this? Okay, hearing none, please call the roll.
Johnston,
Yes.
Verret,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Archie,
Yes.
Baronis,
Yes.
Gathing,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. Number 4 is apparently a resolution to authorize a deficiency levy. Am I understanding that correct? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Gathing. Anybody second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Johnston. Any questions?
So this is to ensure that we get collection on any outstanding bonds?
It's to make sure that the county clerk levies sufficiently to cover our bond payments.
I'm sorry, I'm getting you.
It's to give the county clerk approval from the board to make sure that we collect enough money to pay our bond payments, our debt service payments.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Lewis. We have a motion and second. Please call the roll.
Verret,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Archie,
Yes.
Baronis,
Yes.
Gathing,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes. 7 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. The last item is approval of board member expense reimbursement for the conference that we all went to a couple of weeks ago. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gathing. Is there a second?
Yes. Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. Hearing no discussion, please call the roll, and I'd ask for the board members to abstain as to any reimbursement to themselves.
Williams,
Yes, I abstain from myself.
Archie,
Do you have a vote? Yes?
yes, but abstain from yourself.
You're abstaining for any payment to yourself.
Baronis,
Yes, but I'm abstaining for myself.
Gathing,
Yes, I abstain from myself.
Johnston,
Yes, and I abstain from myself.
Verret,
Yes, I abstain for myself.
Bolin,
Yes. Motion carries, 7 ayes, 0 noes. Okay, information. That's listed below. There's a couple of things that I'm going to take presidential privilege on. Number one, we had a young lady, and I'm going to trust the internet and Facebook, and I'm scared to death to do it, but who was acknowledged in Facebook, Miss Millie Riley, who received a Quest scholarship for a full ride at Yale University. I would hope that we have her come, invite her to the board at some, maybe the January meeting when we're there.
She's an Illinois
She's
State
an Illinois
Scholar.
State Scholar. So she'll be here for
Okay,
Illinois.
great, perfect. Well, she's getting special recognition tonight. I also want to thank Taft PTO, Marching K's, the band, the chorus, the JROTC, and the K's Kitchen, who all participated in the hour-long parade in downtown Kankakee, the Christmas parade. It's a wonderful event, and when we see the district participants, it makes it that much more wonderful. And I really appreciate, as the board president, I know the rest of the board does also, the involvement of our district in the community to that extent. It was great. And the band makes wonderful moves and wonderful music. I have to give them, they're small but mighty right now. So that I want to comment on the board, or the search for the new superintendent. We are now in the final phases of that. I'm going to be a bit giddy because I think we've had wonderful applicants that we interviewed. We're down to 3. We will interview those 3 again this coming Wednesday night. And I think we have 3 finalists who are all outstanding candidates. I can't say enough about the quality and the opportunity we have as a district to find not a replacement, but somebody who will follow in Dr. Walter's
Take it
steps.
to the next step.
It'll take us to the next level. And I think we do have 3 who will, any one of the 3 who will be able to do that. The discussion will be interesting after the next level of interviews, but my compliments to my fellow members of the board. We've worked very hard in this process, and I think we're in for a very good result, but thank you. Regarding the naming, I have appointed a committee. I'm waiting for one more response, and then I will publicly announce the names of the committee. That committee will be led by Jess Gathing as chairman, and he has asked that they start meetings, and so did all the people I asked to serve on the committee. They will start meetings shortly after the first of the year and try to get through that process very quickly. I'm stunned by the amount of engagement on this issue, but I think it's a great thing. Whenever the community cares about the schools, that's a step up, that we're doing better. Other than that, I think there is no other old business, and anything else for the good of the board and the district from anybody of the board members? Hearing nothing, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Gavin,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Baronis. All in favor? Thank you, we are adjourned.
I gave you plenty of time.
Talk about that?
Second.